2 decades have bled away since he was ripped from Earth and dumped into this realm. Today, his long journey finally reaches its end. As he prepares to slay the final abomination, a massive fireball incinerates the earth with a deafening roar. The ground shatters beneath him, but the beast reels in shock that he's still standing. He truly is a legend. His allies are barely clinging to life, but the hero, Hyun Soyuk, is too focused on the fight to notice. Seeing his weakness, the monster launches another lethal strike, but Soyuk meets it head-on with pure grit. Debris rains down as the shockwave forces everyone back. The demon growls, demanding Soyuk bow or perish. He vows to shred the hero. This realm was built on his blood and claws. He won't let it fall. Soyuk weaves through the onslaught, narrowly dodging death before tightening his iron grip on his spear. "Time to finish this," he mutters as his aura explodes, glowing with the intensity of a collapsing star. A blinding flash erupts, slicing through the bedrock like butter as Hyuk vaults backward into the air. He dances with the devil, their collision splintering the dry earth until the demon's claws suddenly lash out. Even with his guard up, a jagged claw slashes across Hyuk's eye. The demon sneers, tasting victory. He mocks Hyuk's weak efforts, but the hero just spins his weapon. "That's more than enough," he retorts. The demon's crown clatters to the floor as a spear buries itself in his chest. He stares in utter disbelief. He never imagined a mere human could challenge him. Hyuk coldly reminds him he's not from this world. The monster spits at his words, uncaring of his defeat. He might fall today, but he has a backup plan. He plans to melt into the earth and respawn later, but suddenly, a chilling sensation stops him cold. It's the feeling of total erasure. Hyuk watches him struggle, knowing his regeneration is failing. This black fire consuming him is the paradox flame. It doesn't need air to burn its victims. It feeds on abstract concepts. The demon's cycle of eternal rebirth is officially going up in smoke. The flame is devouring his very soul. In that moment, the demon realizes this is his final curtain call. Even as he vanishes, he mocks Hyuk, claiming the world will never remember him as its savior. His so-called friends are just vultures waiting for his corpse. But Hyuk has seen through their lies for years. The saintess begs him to ignore the beast hiding behind the fake love she's used to manipulate him. In reality, she loathes him for being an other. Her flirtations were nothing but a calculated trap. She wanted him weak and hesitant, so they could execute him easily once the war was won. Her silence confirms his suspicion. The others are just as rotten, especially the loyal knight. The knight carries a secret imperial treasure, specifically designed to stab the hero in the back. The mage views humans as lab rats and hates Hyuk simply because he fought against their slave trade. He's anticipated their backstabbing for 5 whole years. The demon simply cannot fathom his resolve. With that power, he could have raised this ungrateful world instead of dying for it like a martyr. "I just want to go home," Hyuk whispers. 20 years ago, back in 2005 on Earth, he was just a bored salaryman until a being called the Goddess summoned him to this hellscape. He took the deal, dreaming of a cozy life with broken cheat powers in a fantasy world. Reality hit like a truck. This world was a nightmare. He tried everything to escape back to Earth. The only exit was through the Demon King's heart. So he spent 2 decades training for this. He once saved a dying child, but the city guards barred the gates with cold indifference. They called the kid a waste of medicine. This world was built on the bones of the abandoned. Hygiene was non-existent. Their only cure for a simple infection was a brutal amputation. The healers were all drafted for the front lines, leaving the dying child in Hyuk's arms helpless. A group of priests stopped him, suspicious of how he stole a child from the monster's clutches. A nun claimed the boy was possessed and demanded an immediate, painful exorcism. They were already torturing others nearby. This was the exact rot Hyuk despised most about humanity. These monsters in human skin had no mercy. After 20 years of enduring this filth, he finally ended the war. As the dust settles, the knight approaches with a fake smile of relief. He realized his death was non-negotiable to them. Hyuk shrugged it off. He utterly loathed this miserable world anyway. The knight faltered. This monster should have collapsed long ago, yet he's still standing. His aura surged, undiminished and terrifying. Hyuk roared at the heavens, demanding the goddess fulfill her end. The mission was over. Suddenly, the dark sky fractured like glass, bleeding celestial radiance. The goddess descended through the rift, acknowledging his grueling endurance through the slaughter. The final boss was dead. Pointing his blade at her, Hyuk demanded his soul and memories be sent home. Earth was his only price. The goddess wore a faint, cryptic smile as she watched her champion. She questioned his resolve. Why leave when he'd gained enough power to rival even her divine throne? Returning meant forfeiting every legendary achievement. Hyuk snapped, telling her to quit the fake concern. She was just glad her terrifying puppet was finally leaving. Silence fell before she finally spoke. This world had no room for a monster like him. But would regret haunt him, Hyuk discarded his spear. His only wish was the familiar embrace of his home. He stared at his scarred, bloodied palms. The nightmare was finally ending as a pillar of light swallowed him whole. The goddess's voice echoed. His original body was long gone. He'd need a new vessel to house his soul on Earth. She couldn't reveal the details, only that the host was cursed with a tragic destiny. He'd surely survive. Hyuk didn't flinch. Any earthly fate was paradise compared to the literal hell he'd just survived. Slowly, the darkness faded. He opened his eyes to see a sleek modern ceiling above him. It was 2025. He was now Yu Chun-sok, an ordinary civilian. He sat up, heart racing. No more backstabbing allies. Then, he caught his reflection in the mirror, a completely new man. It felt surreal. He splashed his face with tap water, marveling at how crystal clear and safe it was. The real deal. He clicked the stove, watching the flame ignite instantly. No more primitive campfires. Then a scent hit him, the divine aroma of crispy golden fried chicken. He cradled the drumstick like a sacred artifact. One bite sent a shockwave of pure bliss through him. Real food. Tears streamed down his face. Finally, the dream of a normal life was within reach. He swore he'd adapt to any challenge, but reality was hitting different. Chun-sok basked in the luxury. Steaming showers on demand and air conditioning at a touch. Pure, unadulterated comfort. The sky was clear, the air fresh. Seriously, screw isekai, he was never going back. Tech had peaked in 2025. He was ready to game all night when a shadow fell. A grotesque monster slammed against his window, sending him scrambling back in horror. Suddenly, sirens blared. A corrosion rift had just manifested right in his apartment complex. Chun-sok froze. What kind of nightmare was this? The announcement grew more desperate. All civilians were ordered to the shelters immediately. Confusion turned into pure adrenaline. No time to process. More beasts swarmed their claws, splintering his fragile glass. Time to move. Hordes of monsters lunged for him as he bolted. Was nowhere safe. This was supposed to be peaceful Earth. He managed to evade them by scaling a window ledge. He wasn't looking for a workout, but survival came first. Rounding a corner, he found a kid. The boy held a stick unfazed. Chun-sok urged him to run, but the kid was hunting. "Want to help me kill it?" the boy asked. Chun-sok, baffled, decided to shadow the little warrior. He couldn't leave a child in this chaos. As they walked, the kid dropped some lore. Corrosion rifts were gateways for monsters, random, deadly, and completely unexplained. Chun-sok's heart sank. He'd crawled through hell just to end up in another wasteland. That goddess scammed him. Earth had been transformed into a complete hellscape. The kid gave him a weird look. Chun-sok panicked, claiming he'd just moved back from America. The kid was skeptical. The United States was in shambles after that massive presidential smuggling scandal. Chun-sok shifted gears, asking about the local hunters. He needed to know who the players were. The kid gushes over Lee Soon-hee, a global top 10 powerhouse from the Janabi Guild. Wielding a massive greatsword she's currently in, Chio-run, purging a high-level corrosion rift. Chun-sok is stunned. Regular humans battling monsters. It's just like that hellish world he left. But how? As the kid rambles on, Chun-sok suddenly clamps his hand over his mouth. He spotted movement around the corner. 5 monsters are lurking just a few feet ahead. Make that 6 ones hiding in the shadows. Luckily, this new body packs some serious heat. Taking on groups is light work for him, but what about this annoying little brat? Leave him and he'll definitely do something reckless. Then a familiar scent hits the air. Mana. It's exactly like the energy from the other world. If it exists here, he can fight. Boom. One monster spontaneously erupts into a pillar of searing blue-hot flames. His 20-year stash of mana is gone, but with ambient energy, Paradox Flame is back online. This skill is etched into his soul. The power is low, but it'll definitely get the job done. The kid is shook. He thought Chun-sok was a clueless noob just a few seconds ago. But a unique skill. The brat bolts, shouting about some Hunter Academy YouTube tutorial. Chun-sok yells for him to wait. His flames won't stop until the target is reduced to ashes. He snatches a lunging beast out of midair. YouTube. Never heard of it, he mutters. Kid needs to touch grass, honestly. Chun-sok casually borrows the gear the boy is holding. As the pack charges for a snack, Chun-sok swings a wooden plank like a legendary master. Fatal strikes. Land in a flash. The kid is floored. Is this guy a secret pro hunter? Chun-sok curses his luck. Even back on Earth, he can't escape the foul stench of blood. He survived hell just to find peace, but modern Earth is looking like another war zone. It's the same nightmare. Eventually, they reach the bunker doors while chatting about nonsense. The kid's mom rushes over, realizing Chun-sok is the one who brought her son back alive. She's incredibly grateful. Glancing at her designer clothes, Chun-sok realizes this kid is loaded. A rich young master. No wonder he's so cocky. Suddenly, the entire bunker begins to tremble. Something massive punches through the reinforced wall. A beast tears inside, screaming with primal bloodlust. It's practically grinning at the buffet of humans. Panic explodes as everyone flees for their lives. Run, the kid screams, but Chun-sok doesn't move. He doesn't even hear the warning. All he wanted was to come home, to the peaceful world he missed for 20 long years. Is that too much to ask? He asks the rich kid why he even wants to be a hunter. Why not just hide in a mansion? The kid's expression turns dead serious as he looks back. He lost his father to a monster inside a bunker they thought was a safe haven. That's when he knew nowhere is safe anymore. He's terrified, but he can't just stay hidden. He'll become the strongest, wipe out the monsters, and save the world. It sounds like a cliché. Chansok grins. You'll be a great hunter, but saving the world, leave that to me. The mother begs to leave, but the kid stays put. He's mesmerized by the man fighting. A massive explosion rocks the room. Chansok ignites the beast, finally stepping into his role. After all, saving the world is a job for someone who's already done it once. 20 years in another world, only to be tossed back to Earth. Chansok mulls it over. Freedom is short-lived. Luckily, he survived the first wave and proved he's still got it. He promised the kid he'd be the hero, but honestly, he hasn't done much since then. Cracking open a soda, he carries his team in another MOBA game. This is way too easy. A world saver can definitely do it again. But why bother? He was so confident earlier. That heroic drive faded fast. Why save the world when there's infinite food and gaming? These luxuries were once impossible dreams. Now everything he ever wanted is right at his fingertips. Word on the street is some hunters are actually pulling that off. Just as he's about to cave and order some delivery, reality hits. His severance pay bone dry, completely evaporated. The poor soul who previously owned this body was a corporate drone at some logistics firm, but he got the boot when a massive corrosion rift sent the company into total bankruptcy, with his bank account hitting zero. It's officially time to hunt for a new gig. Too bad a normal 9-to-5 is basically extinct in this hellscape. With rifts popping up like weeds, industries are crumbling everywhere. It's the new miserable normal. Surviving this dystopia requires cash and lots of it. Then, like a sign from above, a hunter recruitment ad flashes across his screen. He can't ignore his past life's resume. He's already clocked some serious hours within the Hunter Association's walls. Hype levels are through the roof as the selection process kicks off, but one dude looks totally unimpressed. Let's be real, this test is just a show. In this era, flash one unique skill and you're basically fast-tracked to the top. The crowd is packed with the same old nobodies, ambitious small fries chasing clout, and a lucky break. Suddenly, his buddy accidentally shoulders past a stranger. He spins around to apologize, only to freeze in his tracks. He just collided with one of Suen's personal guards. They figured she was still miles away in Chiorun, crushing a high-level corrosion rift. But if she's lurking here, the Janabi Guild definitely sent her on a talent scouting mission. Who caught their eye? Suen glances at a tablet displaying Han Sanga, a top-tier graduate from the Hunter Academy. She's an electrokinesis user. Suen jokes that she'd be great for, charging up phone batteries. A guard quickly corrects her. She's a frontline hunter candidate, not some walking power bank. Supposedly, her mastery over lightning is insane, making her a prime asset. Suen, however, remains skeptical. The other guard chimes in, corrosion rifts are a different beast. Academy rankings mean nothing once the real blood starts spilling. Plenty of prodigies choke the moment things get messy. Suen was thinking the exact same thing, so she tosses him a piece of candy for actually using his brain. Simulation and survival are two very different worlds. Students coddled in safe training centers usually break under real pressure. Adapting to the carnage takes forever. Suen sighs, questioning if blowing a whole week on this selection event is even worth her time. The first spar is finally going live. She figures as long as she's on the clock, she might as well do her job, praying for at least one interesting wildcard. Turns out the first contender isn't even an academy elite, just a random civilian. Enter Yu Chun-suk, a total anomaly with enough audacity to step onto the main stage. He's still vibing with his new identity, but he'd better get used to it fast. As his rival steps up to the plate, the announcer barks out the regulations. Strictly standard issue weapons only. Any move that results in a body bag is an immediate disqualification. Chun-suk locks in. If he's going to play the hunter game, his top priority is preventing the world's total collapse. This world is doomed, but he's determined to thrive and feast. To do that, he needs to crush this test. The signal drops and the opponent lunges, smelling blood. He figures a guy with 0 mana is basically a free win. He sees Chun-suk as nothing but a stepping stone for his own legend. The undefeated spearmaster won't let a nobody stop his momentum. Chun-suk casually jams his spear into the dirt and simply disappears. Before the guy can blink, Chun-suk is a ghost behind him. He mocks the master for his clumsy handling of the blade, then delivers a devastating gut punch that knocks the wind out of him. He was prepping a follow-up uppercut to the jaw, but the loudmouth collapses instantly. Even Chun-suk is a bit shocked. He'd swapped to fists to avoid accidentally killing the guy with a spear, but this opponent is a total amateur. Is the bar for hunters really this low? Suen leans forward, captivated by his god-tier movement speed. She pulls up his file instantly. A former warehouse worker, her guard points out the impossible. The guy has absolutely 0 mana reserves. Putting out that much raw force usually requires a massive mana buildup. Without it, the math just doesn't add up. The guard chalks it up to dumb luck, only to get another candy pelted at his head. A silent order to stop talking. Suen suspects he's suppressing his mana on purpose, but pulling off a feat like that, It's unheard of. Flexing his powers feels awkward, so Chansok decides to end the farce now. He looms over his trembling foe, raising a fist and promising a quick, non-lethal knockout. Just like that, the match is over. Total domination. The surrounding scouts start buzzing with excitement, their chatter finally breaking Suwon's focused gaze. She needs to claim him before the feeding frenzy starts. Rising from her seat, she decides to test his limits personally. She heads straight for the association president, while Chansok tears through the rest of the fodder, realizing how pathetic the competition really is. These fresh-out-the-gate hunters are straight-up fodder. Every opponent he faces is stuck at the same pathetic level. What exactly is this academy teaching these kids? Will he ever find an enemy worth his time? Finally, the matchup shifts as he's pitted against the academy's star candidate, the legendary Han Sang-ah. Can she halt this mysterious rookie's rampage? Chansok isn't complaining, her mana levels are actually off the charts. She scoffs at his lack of status. Luck might have carried him here, but his winning streak ends today. Chansok finds her dialogue way too generic. Is cliché villain lines a mandatory class at the academy. Seeing only basic punches, Sang-ah assumes he's skillless. Regardless, she isn't planning on pulling any punches. Oh, Chansok has a skill, but if he actually unleashed it, she'd likely disintegrate before she could blink. Sang-ah floods her blade with power, unleashing a flash step slash, but Chansok effortlessly leaps over the arc. He finds her technique intriguing, much to her shock. By channeling electricity through her scabbard, she generated a magnetic force to accelerate her draw. Landing, he admits she's the most skilled opponent yet, but she overlooked one fatal flaw. She went for the kill without using her brain first. Obsessed with sheer speed, her biggest blunder was how she chose to accelerate that blade. Projecting a magnetic rail in midair, only a fool makes their ultimate attack travel in a straight, predictable line. Fuming Sang-ah vows to crush him without her trump card. She lunges, but Chansok weaves through her strikes. He mocks her if her fastest move failed, these sluggish swings won't ever land. She gets even more desperate. Her form is crumbling. She's overextending, desperately scraping the bottom of her mana pool just to keep up. At this rate, her body will shatter. Suddenly, Chansok flickers right into her personal space. Let's wrap this up, he mutters. Tap out if it hurts. Then he buries a fist into her stomach. A brutal barrage of strikes follows, ending with a cross-arena haymaker that sends her flying. Her face takes the full impact. She hits the dirt, silencing the crowd as Chansok casually stretches and exits. She was decent, but her over-reliance on mana clearly made her forget basic physical conditioning. Total glass cannon. Suddenly a faint groan echoes. Through the pain, she slowly lifts her left hand toward the sky. Chansok smirks, she actually listened. But the moment is cut short as a messenger rushes the announcer's booth. A frantic whisper. Later, the announcer declares a sudden massive shift in the tournament bracket. Our winner gets a tiny breather before facing the ultimate test, an exhibition duel against a pro hunter. Sanctioned by the president himself, this match is live. The stadium erupts into absolute chaos and cheers. Seon's entourage thinks it's over. Chansok's target remains hidden, visible only to the screens above. The crowd's panicked gasps tell him everything. Whoever's stepping up is a certified monster. A pro wants to test his mettle. Some things never change regardless of which world he's in. A massive blade screeches against the concrete. She apologizes for the ambush, but she needed to confirm his power. Seon introduces herself, claiming this stage is far too cramped for his talent. Time to spar. She offers him an out, but Chansok recognizes the name. She's the world's rank 10 powerhouse. Her suffocating aura screams, elite hero. Winning in this current vessel is going to be an uphill battle. He smirks and accepts. Truthfully, he hasn't even broken a sweat yet. This is exactly what he needed. If he wants to dominate this tournament, crushing a high ranker is the perfect shortcut. It's time to gauge the ceiling of this world's strength. The audience freezes as the duel ignites. Seon's massive blade collides with Chansok's spear, forcing him to dig his heels in deep. Marveling at her insane raw strength, he parries the strike, forcing a retreat. Still, he feels the disadvantage growing. His movements are slowing down. There are no openings, and his body lacks the specs to create any. He simply can't capitalize. Seon sighs, admitting she was hoping for a decent warm-up for once. It's been a while since she enjoyed a fight, but he looks completely drained already. She predicted a 3-minute stomp. Surviving for 30 minutes against her, that's actually impressive. She blurs forward in a direct charge, deciding to go easy on him. For now, Chansok sighs. His mana tank is bone dry, and the surrounding atmosphere is completely devoid of energy. Forced to reveal his hidden ace, he finally gives in. The paradox flame ignites, shrouding him in dark power. Sensing a shift, Seon slams her massive blade down, cratering the earth right in front of Chansok. He evades the impact, leaving Seon stunned. That blow was literally impossible to dodge, yet he moved like a ghost. Her eyes widen as she sees him literally engulfed in shadows. Meanwhile, Chansok focuses on his awakening power. Paradox Flame was his go-to signature move in the other world. It is the one power he trusts completely. His clothes remain perfectly untouched. Unlike normal fire, these obsidian flames do not burn physical matter at all. Instead, it incinerates abstract concepts he has designated as fuel. But with his current power output, he cannot torch complex ideas like memories yet. However, he has found a much more immediate fuel source. He starts burning his own exhaustion, allowing him to blitz Sion again with a heavy explosive strike. As he pushes his limits, Sion fights back harder. Still, she is baffled by the strange energy he is emitting. The mana density in the arena is fluctuating wildly now, despite the system settings remaining perfectly stable. Is Chansok causing this? Just as physical fire radiates heat, this paradoxical flame has a unique byproduct. The flame vents massive mana as it consumes concepts. Chansok just needs a tiny spark to start it. Then the fire burns his fatigue to create more mana. It is a terrifying, self-sustaining loop of infinite energy. This is his ultimate specialty. Seon hoists her sword high before smashing it into the floor again. A massive dust screen rises between them. She wonders how long he can last. Chansok just smirks. To him, this is just a battle of endurance, a war of attrition where he is the undisputed king. I can do this all day, he goads. By any chance do you like guys who never quit? Seon's irritation peaks. She absolutely hates that type. Imagine a tree being consumed by a raging fire. Once it is reduced to ash, the fire dies out. Spent fuel cannot burn twice, and his power works similarly. Paradox Flame leaves behind a conceptual residue. If he burns through everything, the flames will eventually vanish. Armed with that logic, Sion pummels him for over 4 grueling hours until he finally hits the dirt. He is a total wreck, gasping in pain. When she asks if he wants more, he quickly begs for mercy. The announcer calls the match as a forfeit. Victory Sion. She casually pulls a lollipop from her jacket. Her guards tense up. That is no ordinary candy. She tosses the reward to the battered Chansok. Tucked inside is her business card. She tells him to study it, promising they will talk business very soon. He is expected to call once the trials end. Chansok stares at the name Janabi, wondering what it is. The stadium empties as fans head out. It is hard to believe their duel lasted for 4 straight hours. Chewing his prize, Chansok checks his phone. Right there on the screen is his official hunter license. The modern tech is impressive. Back in his day, they would have just handed him a scrap of paper. He browses the exclusive hunter forums and marketplaces. As he scrolls, a shadow falls over him. A hulking figure interrupts his browsing. The giant remarks that Chansok looks way more intense in person. The guy is a literal mountain of a man. He has to be over 2 meters tall easily. He hands over a business card. This is Hunter Hyon, a heavy hitter from the legendary Taebek Guild. He keeps it professional and brief. He wants Chansok to join his elite team immediately. Under his wing, Chansok would evolve into a beast that would outshine everyone in the arena. The man seems sincere, but Chansok is already thinking about the offer Seon gave him earlier. He cannot give a straight answer yet. He pockets the card, promising to weigh his options later. Hyon laughs, respecting the hesitation. However, he warns the kid not to take this chance for granted. He makes it clear he hates tardiness. Once he leaves, Chansok immediately decides to ghost Taebek. Later, he calls Seon to confirm their meeting. She gives him directions to a specific hub. She is waiting on the association building's 2nd floor and pings him the exact coordinates right away. Chansok heads over only to find himself standing in front of a cafe with a very weird name. A server welcomes him, and he spots Seon waving from a corner table, gesturing for him to sit. He mentions Hyun's recruitment attempt, making Seon laugh. Since Taebek is interested, other guilds will not dare approach him. Now Chansok wonders, is Janabi just as terrifying? Seon has no intention of signing him. She wants him to operate as a lone wolf, a pure freelancer unchained from any guild. Chansok is floored. He never knew that was even possible. Seon adds that Hyun likely planned to lowball him with a junior slot. Chansok's mind races. What's a junior? And how does this freelance gig work? Seon realizes she forgot he never attended the Hunter Academy. She breaks it down. Guild hierarchies are split into 3 distinct tiers. First up, the juniors, then seniors and partners. The lower tiers follow the lead of high-ranking partner hunters. Think of them as corporate employees. But partners, they own massive guild stakes instead of a paycheck. They split the net profits. Sounds just like a law firm, Chansok observes. Seon nods. He's spot on. Rumor has it the guild's founding father actually modeled the entire system after elite legal firms. He doesn't need to climb the corporate ladder from junior to senior just to reach partner status. Chansok gets the vibe. If he stacks wins and builds fame, the big players will chase him right. Bingo. Seon confirms, tossing him another candy. Chansok's confused why the constant sugar rush. He accepts the treat anyway, but admits a hard truth: he's a total nobody right now. Without connections or a resume, landing decent contracts is impossible. Seon smiles, offering to pull some strings. A freebie, she claims. Chansok narrows his eyes, suspicious of her sudden, unprompted generosity. She explains her play once his name is legendary, and every guild wants a piece of him. She wants him to remember Janabi. In short, she's locking him into a massive emotional debt. She whips a folder from her stash and slams it onto the table with authority. "Your call," she states. Chansok tears it open, demanding to know what he's looking at. It's an ancient city request. Gyeongdong Island became a twisted corrosion zone 2 years back. A previous purge failed miserably. "So I just go in and close the rift?" Chansok asks. "Not quite. He'll be patrolling the island's outskirts, hunting for any new rifts popping up. Then he executes them." He checks the contract, 5 million won up front, starting in 1 month, plus 15 million more upon completion. He tosses the documents back, unimpressed by the numbers. For a life-or-death gamble, the bag is pretty light. Sion admits, the pay seems mid right now. "Use that spite to get stronger," she advises. "Once he's famous, he'll be swimming in endless cash." So is he, and later, while driving away, Sion takes a call from a mysterious contact. He's a civilian who crushed a weapon-only tournament with 0 gear. "Not bad," she remarks coolly. A guard argues that's an understatement. Sion reveals the real shocker: he's a total beast. He survived 4 grueling hours against her. The caller asks if she was just holding back. Negative. She's a 10-year veteran. Her entire career was forged in the fires of hellish survival. She should have played with him like a toy. But 4 hours, that's just insane. Even in another life, she wouldn't see a monster like him. Still, her boss remains skeptical. Doesn't the Gyeongdong mission require seasoned pros? Can a rookie actually hold his own with veterans? Can he really pull his weight? Sion tells him to chill. She's got it handled. She's teamed him up with the best. The boss trusts her. She's the tactical brain of Janabi. But he wonders, if that kid ever hits her level, what kind of titan will he be? Sion drops a bomb. "If he hits my level, he'll probably be able to crush you too." A month back, Chansuk ordered a massive package. The delivery guy naturally was salty about the weight. Once inside, Chansuk unboxed the unusually long parcel. It was a sleek, deadly-looking spear. He also scored an elixir, an essential emergency potion used by high-stakes hunters. Pure condensed mana for when things go south. Normally, mana manipulation is a slow process. Think of it like a water filter. Hunters store atmospheric mana and tap into it later. This elixir bypasses the weight. But Chansok doesn't play by the usual mana rules. He ignores storage entirely, inhaling mana directly from the air. His potential, absolutely limitless. By drawing mana directly from the atmosphere, the constant cycle of intake and release forces his internal pathways to adapt. These circuits naturally toughen, boosting his maximum capacity. However, there is a catch until these channels fully expand. His current threshold is frustratingly low. He cannot unleash the explosive power he once wielded in his past life. Time is a luxury he does not have. Training with this elixir for 1 month is his best bet to pool enough energy. It should provide just enough juice for his upcoming mission. Training complete, he heads straight for Gyeongdong Island. He joins the crowd of hunters, scans his ID on his phone, and settles in to wait for his squad. Team 8 to be exact. Suddenly, a familiar voice rings out. It is Sang-ah. Chansok looks up. He notices her hair isn't as wild today. She quickly clarifies that this is actually her hair's natural state. Last time was just crazy static, making it stand on end. Anyway, she grins. Looks like we are in the same unit. It is a lucky break. She suggests they stick together, but Chansok bluntly asks why he would even bother doing that. She admits he is way more powerful, and she wants to learn by observing him. Chansok just brushes the compliment off. He jokes that his shoulders might buckle under the weight of her praise. Sang-ah, being literal, asks if they dislocate often. She warns him that spearfighting is dangerous with weak joints. Chansok bites his lip, desperately trying to suppress a laugh. The girl has zero sense of humor. Their banter is cut short, however, when the mission handler steps forward. With Squad 8 fully assembled, the briefing officially begins. The handler acknowledges the presence of several new hunters. Since some are rookies, he breaks down the lingo. Corrosion rifts are ranked from Class 1 to Class 3, and even unclassified ones exist. The closer to Class 1 a rift is, the more lethal the threat becomes. The primary rift appearing in a new zone is dubbed an Alpha. Right now, the Alpha Rift. On Gyeongdong Island sits inside a northern church, though its rank remains officially unclassified for now. Since these anomalies grow more volatile over time, the hunters are strictly warned to keep their distance. Their objective: scout the northern sector, to hunt down and destroy any stray corrosion cells that might have manifested. The veterans in the group are stunned. Why assign a high-stakes elimination mission to a squad full of rookies? As they grumble, the handler announces their arrival on the island. Chansuk watches, feeling a bit out of place. The whole scene feels overly dramatic to him. They disembark onto the docks, and the handler's whistle pierces the air. He explains that the island's status is being relayed in real time to the offshore command center, to be precise. Backup is just a radio call away. As the group starts debating tactics, Chansok finally chimes in. Since scouting both zones will take a full week, he suggests establishing a base of operations at Hwangyongsa Temple. A veteran hunter scoffs, eyeing Chansok suspiciously. He asks if this newbie really thinks he knows better. Why the temple of all places? Chansuk calmly explains the strategic advantage of that specific location. It overlooks Nari, and from the peak they will have a clear line of sight to Gyeongdongmyeon. Plus, the structure provides shelter. It is common sense, right? But another hunter counters, claiming there are far better lodging options closer to the ground. A guy in glasses pipes up, worried they will get trapped if they waste energy climbing a whole mountain. Chansuk is baffled. How would they get surrounded unless they were fighting a literal army? Regardless, they shut him down. They dismiss him as just another rookie. Chansuk sighs, realizing that world-class idiots exist in every timeline. Mockingly told to climb the mountain alone, Chansuk breaks off, followed by Sang-ah and one other guy. This newcomer has slightly more mana than the girl. Chansuk asks if he is Kim Min-jae and why he is tagging along. Min-jae explains that he could not just stand by and watch two rookies head into danger alone, especially on their first real mission. Chansuk thanks him, realizing the guy actually has a heart. Finally, a decent human being. Suddenly, Chansuk senses tingle, and he freezes mid-step. The others stop instantly. Before they can question him, he signals for absolute silence. He gestures for them to look ahead. Min-jae peeks over the ridge and spots a pack of goblin-like creatures. They are swarming the mountainside. Terrified Min-jae suggests a detour. He counts at least 50 of the monsters. Chansuk tells him to chill out and asks what his specific skill is. Min-jae looks totally bewildered. Is he actually planning to take them on? To Chansuk, hunting corrupted beasts is just part of the job. He asks again, "What is your power?" Min-jae stammers that he uses flame and his go-to move is a fireball. Chansuk grins, loving the vibe. He declares that on his mark, he'll be the one to spearhead the assault. Min-jae's jaw drops, but Sang-ah just coolly asks for her orders, leaving him even more blindsided. Taking on 50 monsters with just 3 rookies, this is straight-up suicide for their very first mission. They need to radio for backup while they still can, but Chansuk quickly shuts that down. Backup won't make it. While they moved out from Hwaisa Temple, the rest are still scouring the coast. Calling them is a gamble. There's zero guarantee anyone who picks up the signal will arrive in time. If the monsters scatter, they'll become a lethal threat to everyone. Min-jae realizes he's actually making sense. Even if allies are close, that previous bad blood means they won't exactly be rushing to help. Chansuk admits they're stuck. They have to handle this mess themselves, despite the overwhelming odds against them. They need a perfect ambush. No time to waste. Min-jae, you'll kick things off with a massive central fireball. That'll cut off their escape. As the plan unfolds, Min-jae is stunned by how surgical this strategy is. He's predicting every variable. Somehow, it feels like he's lived through this nightmare 1,000 times before. Who is this guy? Right on cue, Min-jae lunges forward, detonating a fireball directly into the mob's heart. Goblins vaporize instantly, sending their ranks into pure carnage. Min-jae warns he needs a second to recharge. He can't spam fireballs yet, but Chansuk tells him to just focus and fire when ready. Chansuk lunges in. In any elite squad, having a fearless diver is absolutely non-negotiable. Until the next blast, he'll shred anything that tries to get within a mile of Min-jae. A few stragglers slip through his defense, but that's exactly why the team's coordination is so vital. Sang-ah instantly deletes the survivors targeting Min-jae, letting her crackling lightning do the heavy lifting. She snipes them from afar. With the distraction complete, Chansuk shouts for the second fireball to fly. Chansuk clears the path, and Min-jae nukes another cluster of goblins, giving them the ultimate opening. Chansuk seizes the moment to press the attack and secure victory. Soon, the battlefield finally goes silent. Chansuk praises their teamwork but freezes. Why is Min-jae aiming a gun at him? Min-jae just tells him to move. He's just tagging the corpses, but Chansuk is still reeling from the sudden weapon draw. He watches closely. Is that a microchip? Min-jae nods. Once this zone is cleared, the cleanup crew will handle the rest. His contracted junk dealer will swing by to harvest everything. Chansuk is confused about the term. Min-jae explains that hauling monster loot manually is a nightmare they just don't have time for. These corpses are massive. By tagging them, junk dealers swoop in post-mission to strip away anything valuable. They appraise the loot, sell it off, and split the massive payday directly with the hunters. After taking a small cut, the lion's share of the profit goes straight to the chip planter. Can they be trusted? Min-jae admits that's why scoring a legit ironclad contract with a pro is crucial. Seriously, Chansuk was a beast. Who would have thought 3 hunters could wipe out a mob like that? It felt impossible. But suddenly, something massive lunges from the shadows, shattering the momentary peace. A colossal fist pulverizes the earth where Min-jae just stood. Chansuk barely pulls him away in time. Tossing him to safety, Min-jae panics. Chansuk doesn't know its name, but this is definitely a mid-boss. Chansuk curses, is this their leader? The sheer volume of mana radiating from it is absolutely suffocating. This thing makes those goblins look like ants. He screams at his teammates to stay back and stay out. He can't let them interfere. If this beast targets all 3, they'll never make it out alive. They refuse to run, arguing that a coordinated pincer attack could give them the opening to retreat. Chansok snaps, roaring at them to shut up and retreat. Do they want to end up in body bags? He has to go solo. Without allies in the way, he can finally unleash his paradox flame full throttle. He needs to end this fast. He mocks the towering beast, daring it to finally make a move. As the clash intensifies, Min-jae panics, fearing Chansok is getting overwhelmed and needs immediate help. Sang-ah stops him. It looks like he's losing ground, but the monster hasn't landed a single scratch. It's more than that. He's effortlessly dancing around strikes that she couldn't even dream of dodging. Chansok weaves through attacks with lethal grace, countering instantly. Each time his spear bites flesh, cursed black flames erupt from the wounds. What kind of power is this? As the inferno intensifies, the beast's movements turn sluggish. It seemed like he was losing, but the tables have turned. Now he's straight up bullying the monster. Is this guy actually a rookie, or is he hiding some legendary rank? The beast craters the earth with a desperate strike, but Chansok vanishes. Suddenly, he hurls his spear high into the moonlight. Seeing him unarmed, the monster lunges for the kill. But just before it reaches him, the creature freezes midair, paralyzed by pure terror. Boom! The spear drills straight into its neck. Chansok's impressed it could even twitch after his flames drained its very life force. Time to deliver the final blow. As he executes the beast, his teammates can only gape in awe. Min-jae looks like he's seeing a ghost. He looked totally overwhelmed seconds ago, and now the boss is dirt. Like, what kind of main character energy just happened? Chansok breaks the silence, asking if these high-tier freaks are normal for this island. Honestly, Min-jae's thinking the exact same thing. For a non-core entity to be this jacked, this place must be a full-blown corrosion zone. We're talking at least a grade 3 threat. Now, rifts usually have 4 tiers, and during the briefing, the handler specifically labeled Gyeongdong Island as unclassified. Those were the official orders. That means the Alpha Rift just evolved into a grade 3 nightmare. Songa tries to double-check the mission data. Chansok shuts her down with logic. If this isn't grade 3, then literally nothing about this monster makes sense. Min-jae panics. Jumping from unclassified to grade 3 is like a boss fight moving to impossible mode. If the level really spiked that high, the survival rate for the other hunters is basically 0%. He insists they must stage a rescue mission. With Chansok's insane skills, even a grade 3 shouldn't be a wall. Chansok gives it a hard pass. He's not a one-man rescue squad for every struggling hunter on this island. He knows his limits. Their objective isn't to play hero, it's to scout and destroy the source of this mess. We're here to hunt new rifts. In this line of work, you have to accept that some people won't be going home. Songa asks how he'd feel if he were the one abandoned. Chansok coldly retorts, does that actually justify being reckless? He's not trying to be a villain, but playing hero just to feel good isn't an option. He understands emotions, he just cares about the facts. In this brutal world, the math is simple. Death is inevitable, once the monster catches you. Feelings don't change the cold, hard reality of a corpse. They're dead already. Letting desperation cloud your judgment is a one-way ticket to the grave. That hero mindset will get you killed. Eventually, the group reaches a secluded temple. Chansok scouts the perimeter and gives the all clear. The structure is secure. No monster tracks in sight. He asks Min-jae for a status report, but the scout hasn't spotted anything unusual. Those signal lights help track other hunters, but Chansok sees them as glowing all-you-can-eat signs for monsters. Revealing your location is suicide. Goblins are one thing, but bigger predators are definitely watching those lights. If another high-tier beast spawns, he can't guarantee their safety. He blasts a warning message to the entire team. He warns them that the Alpha Rift is likely a grade 3 threat based on that last encounter. Using lights now is just asking for a wipeout. As they finally settle down to rest, Min-jae drops some lore, destroy the rift's core, and all these corrupted abominations vanish instantly. No core, no energy, no zone. Chansok likes those odds. It's a simple seek and destroy mission. Smash the rift, end the nightmare. Easy. Once the other two drift off into sleep, Chansok sets up an alarm beacon to guard them. Now he's free to hunt the core without worrying about them dying. He blurs through the dark forest, thankful he memorized the Alpha Rift's coordinates back at HQ. If he keeps this pace, he'll have this entire mess cleaned up before the sun even rises. Suddenly, his instincts scream. A massive, bloodthirsty presence is looming right nearby. He totally jinxed it. He ignites his power to scan the trees, only to find a monster staring down. It's literally drooling over its next meal. Meanwhile, at Hunter HQ, the situation is spiraling into chaos. Team 5's vitals just went dark, total radio silence. They're presumed dead, and the reports are getting worse. The monsters are actually strategizing now. They've already confirmed the first casualty from Team 3. The chief is losing it. How is an unclassified rift causing this much carnage? This is a code red emergency. Backup is non-negotiable. He orders the team to ping the emergency network and call for immediate support. An SOS blasts out to every hunter in the zone, while the chief gets the grim status report. Someone is charging the Alpha Rift. The chief snaps, demanding his men tell that idiot to abort immediately. Who is this loose cannon? One soldier identifies the shadow racing toward the deadly Alpha Corrosion Rift. It's Chansok from Team 8, the scout who first flagged the rift's terrifying evolution to the world. The chief barks orders to ping his terminal and verify vitals. This rift upgrade is sheer insanity. This anomaly is unheard of. Yet he's the only one reacting, diving headfirst into the Alpha Rift. Comms crackle with frantic cursing as he flees. This beast's speed is totally off the charts. Unclassified. He's barely evading death. Did HQ slack on the intel just because it was him? Easy for them to say behind a desk. His constant trash-talking has the staff reaching for the mute button. At least he's breathing. But Chansok realizes his paradox flame is currently lacking the lethality he needs. To drop this titan, he must first chip away its life force using his cursed paradox flame. Then the spear delivers the finale. Yet, this monster refuses to break under his relentless pressure. He drained too much island mana earlier. Now his legendary reserves are dangerously depleted. Trapped on this rock, he scouts for a mana-rich zone to force a lethal one-on-one showdown. Sprinting for his life, he dives into the rift just as massive jaws snap inches behind him. He glares back at the beast, taunting it to follow. There's something he needs to verify now. Signal lost. GPS is dead. Hunter Chansok has officially vanished into the heart of the Alpha Rift. Scanning the area, Chansok finds it surprisingly pristine. So this is what an unclassified rift looks like. If grade 3 rifts are small, then higher ranks must be massive. Suddenly the beast roars nearby. The tour is over. He quips that it's time for them to break up permanently. He hates clingy types. The monster shrieks as Chansok weighs the fatal flaws of his own powers. His flame infects everyone but himself. If it spreads beyond his control, the skill becomes unusable. It's a dangerous drawback. He ignites his spear with cursed fire and lunges at the creature. It erupts in agony. In a solo fight, his lethal curse has absolutely no downside. Time for the main event. He surges mana into his veins, gorging on the raw energy. Power floods his system, reinforcing his mana pathways until they pulse with newfound overwhelming strength. Exhaling deeply, he's shocked by the efficiency. This is better than he imagined. Then the beast. Sensing its doom, the creature bellows a bone-shaking roar that ripples through the rift's artificial sky. He sees through the play. It's a distress signal. 3 bat-like monstrosities dive-bomb him instantly. Not bad, but swarming him with numbers is a rookie mistake. Numbers mean nothing now. As their corpses smolder, the charred earth glows with the heat of his rising power. He's evolved significantly. It's still nowhere near his peak in the other world, but it'll do. Efficiency is key. While searching for the rift's core, a chilling voice suddenly commands him to halt. A humanoid shadow lunges from the dark blade, poised for a lethal backstab. Chansok's instincts scream. He parries the blow, forcing the figure into the dirt. The real threat has finally arrived. Waiting for the flames to flicker out clever. The fact that it can speak suggests high intelligence. Either way, this rift core is a different beast. The monster growls a final death sentence. Time to test his limits. He figures a 4-hit combo should suffice and charges spear leveled. He slams into the beast, forcing a desperate block. Perfect. This is exactly what he planned. The enemy's blade splinters. Chansok triggers dual orbit, a spear strike that renders all defense useless. A blue trail of light echoes his movement, perfectly mimicking the lethal path of his initial thrust. It repeats the strike 4 times. Combined with his physical attack, it's a terrifyingly fluid technique. Delaying the blue trajectory creates a deadly 2-phase assault. It's a mind-bending spear dance. This time-lag pincer attack is impossible to evade. One slip-up, and the enemy is history. Right on cue, the humanoid beast leaps, but Chansok catches him completely off guard mid-air. Unleashing a brutal barrage, he senses the end and lunges his strikes, literally tearing through the creature's frame. Massive holes rip open until the monster dissolves. As it fades, Chansok receives a mysterious new item. He stares at the reward puzzled. Meanwhile, the command center descends into absolute chaos as reports flood in. Communication lines go dark repeatedly. The chief watches helplessly, fearing this might be the final curtain call. Is he really forced to witness his hunters suffer such gruesome ends? He desperately needs a miracle now. Suddenly a soldier shouts. A message just arrived from Chansok inside the Alpha Corrosion Rift. He puts it on the big screen. The message is simple. The Alpha Rift is officially cleared. With the signal gone, the impossible has happened. They confirm the total wipeout of every single creature. Not a single monster survived. To the chief, this is nothing short of a divine miracle. But how Chansok simply collapses onto the grass, inhaling the crisp mountain air into his burning lungs. It is a well-earned rest. Meanwhile, the battle for the other 2 hunters is still raging. Sangha obliterates dozens at once, yet her stamina is fading fast against the endless, overwhelming tide of enemies. Without Chansok, Minjae fears they won't survive. Sangha can feel her body reaching its absolute breaking point. She can't hold out much longer. Her mangled leg is soaked in blood and refusing to follow her commands. As the next wave surges, she charges in for one last stand, but her leg suddenly snaps under her. She's wide open to the horde. Min-jae tries to reach her, but he's swamped by his own nightmare. He watches in horror as a beast lunges at her. Sangha closes her eyes, bracing for the end. Suddenly, the goblins vanish into thin air like ghosts. Fast forward a few hours to the hunter assembly point. Chanseok descends the mountain, seeing the carnage. The corrosion creatures clearly went on a brutal, bloody rampage. The veteran hunters who mocked him earlier now stare in disbelief. They've all seen the impossible message. He solo cleared a grade 3 rift. Min-jae waves him over his face, still showing total shock. He can't believe the text was real. How could anyone even dream of diving into that rift alone? Chanseok crouches, claiming his body moved on instinct just to save his fellow hunters from certain death. Total cap, he's just playing the hero role, hoping a good reputation will land him a massive payday. As they chat, a representative from the Korean Operation Corporation approaches to personally greet the hero. It is Jong Tae, the high-ranking manager from the northern province. Chanseok realizes this is the man in charge. Jong Tae confirms it, adding that the mayor himself has requested an urgent meeting later today. Rain begins to fall. Chanseok sighs, wondering why these powerful old men are always so demanding. Come to think of it, his contract never specified the bonus for a grade 3 clear. He pops his umbrella, deciding it's the perfect time to negotiate a much higher price for his services. Another man, Officer Lee, joins him to lead the way. They walk toward the grand house together. He mentions the mayor is dying to meet him. That island report sent shockwaves through the entire office. The mayor actually cleared his entire schedule just for this. The news earlier this morning was truly insane. Chanseok shrugs it off. It wasn't that big of a deal, so the urgent meeting feels a bit extra. Lee disagrees. A rookie soloing a grade 3 rift is something the world hasn't seen in ages. Not since the era of the Great Pioneer. Chanseok finally realizes his feat was actually legendary. He didn't expect to be compared to a myth. That first hunter must have been an absolute beast. They finally reach the office. Park John, the mayor of Incheon, introduces himself with a welcoming smile. He apologizes for the gloomy weather and offers him a seat. Lee is quickly sent to fetch some coffee. Once the drinks arrive, Park leans in. Chanseok has just performed an incredible service for the whole nation. That island was a massive headache for the city. It was their burden, yet they were totally stuck. Budget cuts made hiring elite guilds impossible. Chanseok knows the mayor is relieved to have it solved, especially since he fixed everything on a budget. It is a massive win for the city's wallet. Park nods. He is amazed this was actually Chanseok's very first professional commission. Chanseok confirms the rumors are true. Park suddenly slams his palms onto the table. He never imagined a powerhouse of this caliber would begin his journey in Incheon. As mayor, he's beaming with pride. South Korea is the world's ultimate safe zone, and Incheon stands as one of the nation's most vital, high-stakes hubs. Massive global trade flows through here daily, fueled by the airport's elite infrastructure. Thanks to the economic zone projects, international cities like Songdo are thriving hotspots. Investors from every corner of the globe are practically begging to get in. The options are endless. Wealth is flooding into Incheon International City at record speeds. The sheer scale of resources and cargo moving through the gateway is staggering. He promises to ensure Chanseok's path as a hunter is paved with gold. Total support is on the table. Chanseok just stares, reading the mayor's true face. He recalls Jong Tae's question from earlier. Why exactly did he become a hunter? Chanseok believes when the world's sewer overflows, someone must dive into the muck. No matter how vile the filth, a hero must plunge in to clear it. Jong Tae understood the sentiment, but warned him about the inevitable trap of fame. Top-tier hunters are modern idols, hounded by corporations for high-budget commercials and deals. They get scouted for TV shows constantly. Chanseok just scoffs at the shallow idea. Jong Tae feared the spotlight would corrupt him, and Chanseok low-key agreed with that. Too many legends get intoxicated by the money and ego, abandoning their true duty. Their sense of purpose simply fades away. In this world, that's a common tragedy. Just across the border, the corrosion zone is crawling with nightmare fuel monstrosities. Korea remains the final bastion, the last sanctuary left for humanity on this earth. But even this holy ground is rotting under the weight of corporate greed. What Chanseok achieved during the trial was nothing short of a divine miracle. Desperate people everywhere will now be watching his every move with bated breath. He must remain a beacon of hope, not another fallen star chasing a paycheck. After hearing the pitch, he wondered how far this political puppet would go. This snake of a mayor isn't even trying to hide his greed anymore. He's playing his cards face up. Unfortunately, he's picked the wrong target today. Chanseok isn't the type to be manipulated by some mid-tier political clout. Having survived centuries of war, he's seen every dirty trick in the book. He knows this support isn't free. There's always a hidden price tag attached. He asks if the mayor needs a hero to fix his tanking approval ratings. Park clears his throat, realizing Chansok is far sharper than he looks. He claims he just stumbled upon the mayor's failing reputation while browsing online. Chansok notes that the mayor's term is set to expire early next year. The public consensus is brutal. His chances of re-election are looking pretty non-existent. Park is stunned by the bluntness, and finally drops the fake political mask. He reminds him that this entire commission required his personal stamp of approval. For a rookie, those city hall signatures are the difference between life and death. Without his grace, Chansok is nothing. With it, he's Incheon's hand-picked legend. He wants to brag that he personally discovered the nation's next heavy hitter. It's a classic leech move, desperately trying to ride Chansok's rising star for votes. Park boasts about his deep ties with massive corporate empires and industry leaders. Usually these rankings are just a public circus. But today, the stakes are higher. Even the association president is watching. Chansok stays cool. All this flashy media hype doesn't move him one bit. Only the top 10 matter now. So-yoon takes 10th, and Kim Chae-hyun secures the 5th spot. Third place is Choi Yoram, with Jong Tae-sok at 2nd. Then finally in the number 1 slot, before the winner is revealed, a man interrupts Chansok's solitude. "Sorry for the long wait, kid. Time to move. Also, big congrats, you just hit the rankings in record-breaking time." Usually a 5-year veteran soloing a grade 3 rift is boring news that the community just ignores. It's common enough to be forgotten instantly. However, there is one massive catch. If a brand new rookie pulls that off on day 1, that is a total tectonic shift. That is why Chansok is currently mobbed by the press. Reporters are screaming questions at him like crazy. They are obsessed with his past life and whether he truly cleared that rift without any backup. After being grilled about the rift's sudden growth, he feels like some weird child prodigy on a TV special. His schedule is tight, so he offers them one final shot. Last question, make it count. A reporter pounces instantly, desperate for a scoop. What are your next moves as a hunter? Chansok doesn't care for empty words or cliché promises. To him, saying "I'll try my best" is just background noise. Results speak louder than words. He boards a transport heading toward the hollowed-out remains of Gonsal Prison. A massive, bone-chilling crater is all that's left. Across the globe, this nightmare has become the new normal. Ever since the corrosion rifts tore reality apart, most nations have simply collapsed. The chairman breaks the silence. He explains how Korea stood strong, transforming into a fortress through sheer grit and massive technological leaps. Even this high-tech chopper they're riding in is a testament to their unrivaled engineering. So everyone who couldn't adapt ended up like this, Chansok asks. The chairman gives a grim nod. Entire world capitals vanished overnight. He tells Chansok they'll see the devastation up close once they touch down. The chairman details the Great Eight, the most lethal world-ending rifts currently in existence. Gonsal Prison is one of those nightmares. It manifested 13 years ago, right in the heart of civilization. Without a single warning, a massive circle of death expanded. A few lucky souls barely escaped the initial blast. But once the area fully corroded, everything and everyone inside was ruthlessly consumed by the void. In just 48 hours, an entire metropolis vanished into thin air without making a single sound. The world map looks the same, but internally the power of central governments has started to crumble. Chansok absorbs the intel. It's useful knowledge, but he wonders why he's being told all this now. "What's the catch?" he asks. The chairman reveals that Yoon Seon-hyun from Taebok recently came looking for him. Apparently the big shot was pretty salty that Chansok rejected his invitation to join the guild. "The musclehead who threatened me," Chansok muses. But the chairman adds that Yoon was prying for his location. Keeping it professional, the chairman kept his mouth shut and didn't leak Chansok's current coordinates. Taebok lives by the law of the jungle. If they can't recruit him, they'll likely try to crush him. Survival of the fittest, it's their only rule. Chansok realizes this is going to be a massive headache. That guy's raw power is no joke. The chairman notes that Chansok clearly prefers being a lone wolf. You want to stay solo, right? If he wants Taebok off his back, he needs to boost his reputation fast. The best way, smashing through high-level missions, handpicked by the association president himself. Chansok knows there's no such thing as a free lunch. He asks straight up what the chairman wants in return. "Nothing for now," the chairman replies. He just wants Chansok to remember who had his back when things got ugly. Chansok considers it a fair trade. Owning a favor is a small price to pay for this level of support. Building his name on a presidential mission is a solid plan. "So where's the drop-off?" Chansok asks. He's tasked with escorting a cargo ship from Busan to Nanning. Transporting daily essentials through corrosion zones is risky. Chansok flips through the manifest and raises an eyebrow. Rolexes, high-end porcelain, premium ginseng liquor, and a luxury Hyundai sedan. He stares at the list in disbelief. "Since when are these essentials?" he scoffs. "Did the world suddenly get filthy rich while I wasn't looking?" The chairman dryly remarks that for the elite, these are necessities. He expected Chansok to get it. Chansok couldn't care less. Why would anyone need luxury junk in a country that's literally falling apart? The chairman explains that even if nations are crumbling, global politics and power plays still rule the world. Chansok sighs. He gets it, this isn't about supplies. It's about keeping the right people happy. So I'm basically a glorified delivery boy for bribes. Hard pass, Chansok says, ready to bail. The chairman urges him to reconsider, claiming the government views this mission as absolutely critical. Chansok remains unmoved. Only a fool would let themselves get tangled in the dirty web of political schemes. The chairman warns him he's just a rookie who's barely started. He shouldn't be so arrogant. Suddenly, Chansok kicks open the helicopter door and tosses the mission files straight into the ocean. Thanks for the lift, but I'll take it from here, he quips. I'll just swim back to Seoul. He dives into the abyss, leaving the chairman speechless. Kids these days, they're absolutely wild, he mutters. As the sun dips below the horizon at Incheon Port, a dock worker enjoys a quiet cup of coffee. Suddenly, the water erupts in bubbles as Chansok surfaces, casually mulling things over to himself. Chansok grumbles, reliving how he nearly checked out early while those punks had the audacity to threaten him. He freezes, spotting an employee nearby. The staffer offers a silent nod, admitting he's clueless about the chaos, but can tell our hero's been through absolute hell. Chansok offers a quick thanks before clambering out of the water, knowing it's time to seriously grind and level up his stats. His new goal, hunt down high-tier missions and become such a powerhouse that no one dares to pull his strings ever again. He scrolls through his phone until a particular quest catches his eye, locking it in without a second thought. A mass kidnapping on Tsushima Island is screaming for hunter intervention, and the corruption levels are officially off the charts. It is a rank 2+ nightmare. As he towels off, Chansok realizes his schedule is about to get dangerously packed. At dawn on September 3rd, fishermen from Zhangzhou and Tongyang set sail, hoping for a massive peak season prawn harvest. But the ocean had darker plans. Horrific corrosion monsters lurking on Tsushima Island emerged and snatched the unsuspecting crews. They were hunted like cattle, at least according to the one traumatized survivor, who managed to slip away by a miracle. There is still a pulse, the captives are alive. The objective is clear: infiltrate the island and execute a high-stakes rescue. Step 2. Wipe out every single monster in sight. The payday for this suicide mission is a cool 55 million won. A solo run means he pockets the entire bag, a massive stack. Plus, if he actually pulls this off, he will gain instant legend status and insane clout. It is a high-risk gamble, but there is a catch he has heard about. These corrosion freaks are in a league of their own based on rank. While a rank 3 is bad news, a rank 2 is a walking catastrophe with the power of a natural disaster. And a rank 1, that is national-level doom. You would need an entire army just to slow a rank 1 down. Chansok breezed through the rank 3s before, thanks to his paradoxical phantasm flame. But a rank 2 is a different beast entirely. Can he even survive that pressure? To level the playing field, he needs a reliable partner, but top-tier pros do not usually do charity work for indie requests. They would not even look at an indie gig like this. He is flying solo until a familiar face joins the fray. It is an ally from his last raid. As they sail toward the cursed island, Sang-ah walks up with a question. She wants the ETA for Tsushima. Chansok checks his clock and estimates they have got about an hour left. He warns her to conserve her energy because they are headed for a world of hurt much worse than before. But is she even tuned in? Not a chance. She is completely distracted by the shiny new gear on his shoulder. Is that the legendary Iron Sarah kit? Between the premium leather trim and the drip that has got to be the limited edition, she is dying to know how he got that flex. Chansok just stares wondering when she became such a chatterbox. His sponsor hooked him up with the freebie, leaving Sang-ah feeling pretty salty about her own mediocre contract. She did not get any cool perks. Chansok clears his throat, reminding her they are in totally different leagues. He is the top-tier talent who soloed a rank 3 monster, while she is still just a rookie with a title. Sure, she was top of her class, but titles do not win wars. If she is jealous, she needs to grind for clout. Flashback to a few days ago, Chansok laid out the mission and asked if she was ready for the big leagues. Sang-ah hesitated. She had already knocked on death's door with a rank 3, a rank 2 was a nightmare scenario. Sensing her doubt, Chansok offered her a path to power. She took the bait, asking for his mentorship. That was the deal. If she is still down, he guarantees an evolution as long as she follows his lead. He will multiply her strength 10 times over. Sang-ah is all in. She has a burning reason to become elite. For that power, she would walk through hell. Suddenly, the ship's sirens scream. Unidentified targets are on the radar. 5 mysterious vessels are dead ahead. They need to close the gap, but how do they reach them? Hostages are on board, so stealth is key. Chansok turns to ask for a plan, only to find her literally floating. Since when could she fly? Sang-ah smirks, roasting him for not having any cool aerial moves of his own. Chansok locks in, ignoring her teasing as she claims that defying gravity is basically child's play. Eventually, he hitches a ride, still bickering, and telling her to watch out for the freezing sea spray. With waves crashing around them, he admits he has not unlocked the water-walking skill yet, but it is coming soon. He eyes the vessels, telling Sang-ah to intercept the lead ship as a massive energy signature flares up. Something sinister is surging from the stern. The danger level is spiking as they glide across the dark abyss. Sang-ah spots a shadow in the fog, but Chansok warns her no human moves with that kind of unnatural speed. Just as expected, the undead swarm the deck, but Chansok isn't exactly impressed by her clumsy landing. If she keeps slamming down like that, her knees are going to be absolute toast. Worse yet, she just rang the dinner bell. He slams his foot down, unleashing a brutal flurry. The undead vanish instantly. These are just low-tier, second-class trash, nothing he can't handle. Sang, should be able to hold her own here. But she's gone before he can order. He bellows at her for burning mana like a maniac. She'll be empty in seconds. Reluctant but remembering his words on power, she clicks her tongue and dials back her output. Even then, it's overkill. Sang-ah realizes that for the weak life is a dark tragedy. She refuses to be a victim again. To survive, she must become a monster of strength. As a zombie lunges, she cleaves it perfectly. She finally has a reason to reach the top. She dive into hell for power. Finally, she mops up the last of the ship's filth. She steadies her pulse and calms her mana. Chansuk arrives, having cleared the other boats. While cleaning her blade, Sang-ah admits she couldn't let her ego interfere this time. She thanks him for the lesson. Chansuk just tells her not to even mention it. Idiots can't learn even if spoon-fed. Then Sang-ah drops a bombshell. She's never had advice. Chansok is genuinely baffled. Isn't the Academy for Learning? She explains peers found her annoying because she was too gifted. Chansok scoffs, hoping she doesn't think his tips will make her stronger than him. Honestly, she expects to. She's already outshined every master she's ever had. That ticks him off. He fires back that he's one mountain she'll never climb. He'll make sure she's stuck looking at his back for the rest of her life. His words sting her pride. They hit land, and the mariners salute before heading off. He brushes them off. According to the survivors' intel, the hostages are being held at the shrine. But there's a catch. This island has 2 shrines, Gaijin and Atazumi. Chansok recalls that distance-wise, Gaijin Shrine should be their very first stop. Running there takes hours, but the real problem isn't getting there, it's the trip back. Escorting 15 wounded hostages through this hellscape is a total nightmare scenario. Sinister mana in the fog is literally corrosive. The island's monsters are already hunting. These things are relentless. To get the hostages out safely, they're going to need some wheels. To escape with the survivors, they'll need a vehicle, and they've found one. He asks if she can drive, and she can, though she drives like a speed demon. Sang-ah floors the gas, brakes, just for decoration. Still, her reckless driving beats his dusty license. Besides, he's much better at fighting anyway. A legion of undead follows them. He hurls his spear, shattering a ghoul's skull instantly. He's surprised by the weapon's durability. Suddenly, a horde swarms them from the left. Chansok barks a warning. Sang-ah yanks the wheel, putting the car on 2 tires. She laughs wildly, telling the monsters to become part of the pavement like mats. Chansuk regrets not driving. Eventually, the path to the shrine finally opens up. They must breach the interior. Sang-ah worries about the monsters tailing them. He'll handle the tail, she handles the rescue. She leaps from the car as he attacks. Since they won't quit, he unleashes Paradox Flame, melting the stairs into holy fire. Inside, Sang-ah finds the captives bound. She identifies herself as an association hunter. They're safe now, she says. But suddenly the man she's talking to starts screaming. He isn't scared of her, he's desperately trying to tell her to run for her life. Behind her, a demonic samurai towers ready to strike. Just as the blade falls, Chansuk parries the strike with cold precision. He barks at Sang-ah to get the survivors to the ride. This trash is his to deal with. The samurai unleashes a flurry of slashes, metal screaming against metal, as he drives his blade against Chansok's spear, forcing him to give ground. Before the monster can deliver a finishing blow, the roar of an engine echoes as Sang-ah slams the car into him, screaming for him to go to hell. He's pinned like a bug against a nearby wall flattened under the steel. Chansuk strolls up dryly, noting that once they're home, he's never letting her touch a steering wheel again. Sang-ah just snaps at him to get in, and they peel away into the distance. With the hostages secured on board, Chansuk checks in, but Sang-ah's eyes suddenly widen. A sea of rotting corpses blocks their path ahead. It turns out the nightmare isn't over yet, and that freak is somehow still standing even after getting totaled by a car. He demands her blade, but Sang-ah hesitates to a swordsman. Surrendering your weapon is the ultimate disgrace. Chansuk gives her a reality check, her pride or their lives. She doesn't need a second to decide what actually matters here. Fine, Sang-ah reluctantly tosses her blade, and Chansuk catches it mid-air with predatory grace. He hadn't planned on playing this card so soon. Days ago, inside a Grade 3 corrosion rift, he'd scavenged a mysterious glove. This isn't some ordinary gear. It's literally drinking mana straight from the atmosphere. At first glance, it seems like standard-issue equipment meant to bolster the wearer's internal mana reserves. But in his hands, it's a game-changer. Calculating the max storage capacity, he realizes he's got exactly 5 minutes of pure power. Within those 5 minutes, his strength will skyrocket until he's powerful enough to stand toe-to-toe with even Sion himself. As the glove pulses with light, he becomes a blur of violence, shredding through the undead horde like they're nothing but paper. Sang-ah is left speechless by his sheer speed. Chansuk just tells her to floor it and head straight for the port. Without a second look, they reach Hadakatsu port in their battered ride. Chansuk grunts, annoyed that these freaks just keep crawling out of the woodwork. He thought they'd finally cleared them, but Sang-ah warns that the car is literally about to fall apart. She suggests they jump out and finish this on foot, but Chansuk commands her to keep driving before she can even argue. Suddenly, they cross an invisible line and the monsters hit a barrier. Sang-ah stares in disbelief as their pursuers are halted. These things were thirsting for their blood just seconds ago, and now they're stuck. Was it because of that weird symbol from earlier? Chansuk confirms it. He'd drawn a protective formation. It's a specialized geometric technique designed to ward off high-level monstrosities. Sang-ah is dying to know where he picked up such a skill, but he knows she wouldn't understand the explanation anyway. After all, he mastered this in another dimension. Chansuk smirks, feeling his old combat instincts finally sharpening to their peak again. She asks if this trick works on everything, but Chansuk admits it's useless against the truly high-tier threats out there. The samurai drifts inside, chanting some cryptic nonsense about duty and sacrifice. Suddenly, the vibe shifts entirely. Sang-ah's instincts scream as she feels a phantom blade tracing a line across her throat. She realizes exactly what's happening. The killing blow is already telegraphed. This is mind's eye. Chansuk notices the sudden drop in temperature, sensing the shift in the air. Despite the tension, he isn't the least bit intimidated. To him, this whole display feels remarkably amateurish. Sang-ah explains that awakening senses beyond the physical allows one to foresee the future of a fight, a feat for true masters. She can't believe a monster has reached this level. Seeing her tremble, Chansuk steadies her blade and tells her to stop overthinking. This mind's eye garbage is nothing but a flashy gimmick. He tells her to watch closely as he dismantles the illusion. The samurai immediately unsheathes his steel and begins unleashing a flurry of strikes. Sang-ah tries to stop him from going solo, but Chansuk scoffs. Mind's eye is just raw data pulled from endless combat. It's just a muscle memory reflex born from sensing hostility. If you can control your own killing intent, it becomes completely useless. Most people can't master that level of emotional control, though. Only a handful of elites can truly weaponize their presence like this. Names like Heart Sword or State of Selflessness sound impressive, but they're all just fancy labels for the same thing. These supreme realms are just noise. With a single thrust, he obliterates the samurai, proving his point effortlessly. He's proven his point. The trap of enlightenment is a deadly one. People get intoxicated by a name and stop evolving. They set their own limits based on a title. But on a real battlefield, survival doesn't give a damn about fancy names. He's earned the right to say this through blood and loss. To survive those same threats, he sacrificed more than she can imagine. Yet he's still annoyed. This samurai survived a high-speed collision only to rely on a parlor trick like Mind's Eye at the end. Sang-ah stands frozen, questioning her own contribution to this mission. She kept telling herself she was giving her absolute best, but compared to Chansuk, she realizes she's barely even scratched the surface. That power was beyond her wildest dreams. No more half measures. To reach her goal, she must evolve now. She begs for a real masterclass. Chansuk is puzzled. Isn't he already showing her the way? But Sang-ah disagrees. Simple tips and demos aren't enough. She craves the real deal. She demands his direct mentorship. Compared to him, she's pathetic. She needs to level up fast. Noticing her shoulder scar, Chansuk asks why. Her answer, the total annihilation of Club Shandai. With her own hands. The world's most lethal corruption rifts are known as the Great Eight. Among them, Club Shandai is infamous for devouring the Himalayas in one terrifying breath. Chansuk notes her ambition dwarfs simple revenge. She nods. Her family's blood demands justice. This isn't a favor. She hands him a KY group card, a trillion-dollar empire's ultimate key. It's her family's legacy. Chansuk realizes he's dealing with a high-profile Chibol heiress. She confirms it. Her grandfather rules the corp, but she's walked away from the throne. Chansuk knows that hunter fame will inevitably drag her back into the family power struggle. She didn't offer this card for fun. So what's her real price for his help? She wants the summit. In exchange, she'll provide black market elixirs and legendary artifacts. These items are rare. She thinks they both share the same hunger for absolute power. She believes elixirs will take him to a new realm. Little does she know he's been there. He reached that peak ages ago. His only drive now, resetting this broken world's fate. He seals the deal with a handshake, declining rewards for now. More importantly, they must move. They rush the vehicle to the infirmary. After dropping off the victims, they grill the doctors. How long is the recovery? The lead doctor counts 7 patients in critical condition. Malnutrition is severe. It'll take a week before they can even utter a single word. The staff promises updates once they wake. For now, silence and rest are mandatory. Chansok agrees, then stuns Sang Ah. We start training right now. She's caught off guard. In an empty field, Chansok poses a lethal question. If he strikes with full force, can she evade it? Sang Ah doubts it. Their power gap is a literal ocean. Wrong. Chansok insists she can survive if she pushes her instincts to the absolute limit. It's possible. She must weaponize her eyes, ears, nose, and every inch of her skin. Dominate every sense. Fight in the zone of pure consciousness. That is how she wins. Time for a test. Before she can even blink, Chansok vanishes into thin air. Panic sets in. Suddenly, his spear tip is cold against her throat from behind. Too slow. Senses first, thoughts second. On the battlefield, thinking equals certain death. Move purely on instinct. Unmastered senses are just lies. That's enough talk time to practice. The field becomes a war zone, as their brutal sparring session begins in earnest. A hospital guard watches, initially confused, then completely hypnotized by the sheer intensity. The raw power on display is breathtaking. Chansok relentlessly hammers away at Sang Ah's defenses. She barely holds on. Chansok feints with a low sweep, then prepares a devastating overhead strike. She's trapped. But a guard's shout breaks the tension. A survivor has finally opened his eyes. They need to move. Chansok is satisfied. Sang Ah's blocking is actually becoming half decent. Round 1 is over. He signals her to head inside. Training has only just begun. They meet the survivor. He swears it wasn't a dream. A truck arrived at the prison. Sang Ah assumes more prisoners arrived, but the man's face turns pale with fear. No. These people were calm. More terrifyingly, the monsters treated them like honored guests. The beasts actually helped them load specific hostages into the truck. It was a collaboration. Now the missing hostages make sense. 7 were left, but 8 were taken away. 1 soul managed to escape that hellhole, and thanks to them, the truth surfaces. The rescue mission succeeded, but the survivor dropped a bombshell. Their escape was actually a calculated release by the enemy. Sang Ah is reeling, but Chansok saw this coming. It is totally sus that a civilian survived where elite hunters struggled to even enter. Unless it was a total setup, Chansok would retire from hunting right now. Someone definitely opened that door for them on purpose. Was this whole mission just bait? Sang Ah wonders what they are plotting while Chansok's patience is officially wearing thin. He is fuming at their audacity. Who do these guys think they are? Sang Ah cannot tell if he is mad about the insult or the trap. Did they underestimate him, or are they just using lives as pawns? Chansok demands more intel from the traumatized man. The survivor recalls a crucial detail. He saw a cat mascot on the belt of the mysterious figure who stepped off the truck. A cat mascot, without a doubt. After leaving the hospital, Chansok realizes that is the same logo used by the local airport. Sang Ah is shocked. He figured it out. She asks if his phone is just a brick, but Chansok has a reason for being offline. Wealthy kids would not get it, but for commoners, one accidental tap on the internet icon means a devastating bill bomb. Sang Ah mocks his caveman logic, but as they scan the area, it is a ghost town. Should they just head back to the shrine? Suddenly, Chansok's instincts scream. He spots a figure lurking in the shadows. The guy's face is covered in piercings like he face-planted into a tackle box. Despite the wild look, he is radiating pure danger. This is no ordinary thug. The metal-clad stranger introduces himself as Kim Ji-hyun, the one pulling all the strings. He claims he is the reason they are still breathing. Chansok is not buying the savior act and demands to know the catch. Ji-hyun shows them the alternative, chucking a helpless soul into a swirling dark portal that leads straight to the corrosion zone. Sang Ah's blood runs cold. Why sacrifice people there? Once the portal swallows you, there is no escape unless the core shatters. Right before their eyes, the victim mutates into a hideous corrosion zombie. Everything is going exactly according to Ji-hyun's plan. Weak hosts only yield trash, he scoffs. With a single devastating kick, he obliterates the newly formed monster into dust. Sang Ah gasps, realizing they are next on the list. Ji-hyun explains that ordinary fodder just does not make the cut anymore. To create a truly satisfactory soldier for the corrosion, they need something better than average. They need hunters. The realization hits Chansok. This is not a kidnapping for money. They do not want a ransom. They want the hostage's very essence. Ji-hyun does not care for small talk, but the elder insists on explaining their righteous cause to the soon-to-be sacrifices. Listen well, he sneers. We are the heirs of Dangun. They have gathered for a mission that will rewrite history itself. Their goal? Absolute hegemony. They want to boost Korea's power until the rest of the world is too terrified to even challenge them. He slams his foot down, the sheer force launching 2 nearby cars into the air like they were mere toys. They are building a superpower that cannot be ignored. A nation forged in strength and absolute authority. With a lethal kick, he sends a car hurtling toward them. Chansok sighs. Does he ever get a minute to breathe? One clean slash bisects the flying vehicle. Chansok is confused. The country is already a global powerhouse. What more do they want? Ji-hyun lunges forward, shouting that good enough is a lie. They will not stop until the nation is truly peerless. He dreams of a country so formidable that no one dares look down on them. A supreme, remarkable superpower born from the ashes. Think of our history, he bellows. Centuries of tribute and forced humility have fueled his burning desire for dominance. Their sovereignty was stolen once before. He vows never to forget the bitter taste of humiliation that his ancestors endured. Chansok tunes out the villain monologue. He notes the guy's taekwondo stance unarmed, but his speed is on a whole different level. Suddenly, Ji-hyun's fist connects. He is obsessed with making everyone pay for the past one strike at a time. Chansok skids back. The guy is fast, but his raw power is still manageable. Surprisingly, his twisted logic actually holds some weight. If the corrosion zones vanish, Korea loses its edge on the global stage. It is a cynical view of survival of the fittest, so they have zero intention of saving the world. It is all just a power grab. Ji-hyun does not even try to deny it. Why would we save a world that does not serve us? His response is chillingly honest. Chansuk reminds him that many lives are on the line. But Ji-hyun laughs off the idea of morals and priorities. You are the clueless one, Ji-hyun retorts. They have discovered the Holy Grail, a way to actually control the corrosion zones. Chansuk freezes. If that is true, the game has changed. Controlling the zones means an end to the constant life or death struggle. Suddenly, Chansuk's tone shifts. He claims he is down to cooperate if it means living in safety. He is all ears now. He asks about the extent of their control, even offering to hand over Sang-ah before she can even protest. Ji-hyun is not impressed. Why would he leak secrets to a sellout? Their control is already beyond anything Chansuk could imagine. Chansuk shuts him down. He's powerful but lacks true mastery, exactly as suspected. These fakes are all the same. All bark and no bite, clinging to empty threats. Ji-hyun loses it mid-sentence, launching a brutal kick that Chansuk effortlessly evades. Did he push too hard? He just needed a second to refill his mana glove. No turning back now. The paradoxical phantasm flame is officially out of commission. It is a battle of endurance now. But as Ji-hyun lunges, things get chaotic. Sang-ah blitzes in narrowly missing Ji-hyun's skull. He is absolutely livid. He expected her to stay frozen in terror. Where did this sudden courage come from? Sang-ah knows she's outmatched, but she's already clocked the state of his gauntlet. He's bone dry on mana and needs time. Quickly, she unseals a mysterious vial. How long, she asks. 5 minutes. She downs the liquid and steps up to handle things. How many elixirs has she taken? Chansuk fears her body is reaching its breaking point. It's do or die, she insists. Chansuk nods. This is their only shot at survival. 5 minutes. Then he ends this. Sang-ah just prays he holds on. A roar echoes as the clash begins. Sang-ah throws everything she has at Ji-hyun. He mocks her to chill before he accidentally kills her, but she answers with power. Her strike is like lightning. For a split second, it looks like she actually connected. Ji-hyun tanks the hit, counter-kicking her back. Even so, she bought the precious time. Chansuk catches her, his eyes locking on Ji-hyun. Ready to meet your end. This mana surge is impossible. Was he nerfing himself this entire time? Why the shock? It's the same logic as those piercings he's wearing, isn't it? Ji-hyun stammers in confusion, but Chansuk just scoffs. Only an idiot would miss it. Look around. The air is thick with the mana he's recklessly burning through. That leaking energy, it's exactly what Chansuk needs to reignite his paradoxical phantasm flame. Consider it a gift. Ji-hyun panics, absorbing waste. Mana shouldn't even be possible. Instantly, Chansuk teleports behind him. Doesn't matter. You're dead anyway. He unleashes the blue trajectory 16-hit combo, utterly dismantling Ji-hyun's defenses. Breathless and broken, his lungs are failing and his heartbeat is fading into nothingness. Ji-hyun clings to his pride using mana just to keep his broken body upright. His muscles are fried. He should be on the floor. It's time to quit. Ji-hyun desperately screams for his captain. Suddenly, a massive blast rains from above. Forced to block, Chansuk can't move. Who the hell is crashing the party now? The captain meant to shatter his wrist, but Chansuk's spear reflex was too fast. Insane instincts, Chansuk eyes the weapon. Traditional archery. In a fight like this, it seems overkill, but this guy's aura definitely commands the title of captain. He's double Sewun's strength and far more skilled. Chansuk can't deny the gap. The captain likes his moxie. Or maybe the kid just doesn't fear the Reaper. If the captain wanted him dead, he'd be gone. He's clearly being kept alive. With a flick, Chansuk surges the flames around a gasping, terrified Ji-hyun. Put out the fire. Now. The captain's warning is cold and final. Ji-hyun was empty, but the hooded man is pumping his own mana into him. If that arrow had targeted his skull, Chansuk would already be a corpse. He spares him. Chansuk freezes Ji-hyun, and the captain catches his fallen subordinate. Do you know what you've done? He'll spend his youth paralyzed in a wheelchair. He's a vegetable now. Chansok doesn't care, he'd rather die than be a puppet. The captain retreats, unable to grasp Chansok's mysterious flames. For now, when the corrosion rifts first manifested, mastering them seemed impossible. Yet, against all odds, he did it. Soon, even Chansok will become his puppet. It's inevitable. Chansok damns his luck for crossing paths with such a toxic monster. Sang-ah approaches, wondering if his unique skill is their target. Chunsok just gives a cold nod. Sang-ah wonders why they didn't just kidnap him while he was out. Chunsok points out a darker theory. They likely know her history, but she's baffled why terrorists would even care about her past. He warns her to analyze their true motives and endgame more deeply. Would the government really oppose this? Honestly, they're probably funding the whole operation. Sang-ah questions if they should leave the rift alone. Chunsok honestly couldn't care less. Playing dumb is the plan, but Sang-ah's a terrible liar, something he already saw coming. Talk is for later. He orders her to stay back while he ventures into the abyss alone. She worries about the unknown dangers lurking below, but Chunsok simply turns his back. He'll find out soon enough. He tells her to recover while he dives headfirst into the rift. He lands in the Tsushima Rift, facing a massive Japanese fortress. The heavy mana suffocates the air. For an undead lair, this place feels disturbingly solid. The yin energy stabs at his lungs. Every breath confirms his gut feeling. The source is waiting right behind those doors. The rift's core is inside. Overthinking before a bloodbath is a habit he needs to kick. One slip-up means instant death. Steeling his resolve, he steps into the darkness. He discovers a cauldron burning with eerie green flames, the Grade 2 core. It's not what he envisioned. Suddenly, a hand clamps onto his leg. A dying survivor begs for salvation. The man's legs are shredded. Before he can escape, the cauldron lashes out a grotesque tongue. It snatches the man, devouring him in a single gulp. Well, mostly devouring him. He resurfaces as a mindless zombie. The cauldron is literally farming humans to manufacture the undead. Traumatic memories of similar atrocities flood back. He gags. These monsters are beyond revolting. A ghostly voice echoes, dismissing him as another sacrifice. But something feels different this time. This isn't like the others. That intense, familiar aura. It's the spirit of a true warrior. He challenges Chunsok to draw steel-craving warrior blood to temper his edge. This is the real boss. The true heart of the Grade 2 rift. The murderous pressure makes his skin crawl. This hooded freak tamed a literal monster. How the hell did he pull off that feat? This power level is insane. Is there an even bigger predator out there? The warrior warns him to focus. Eyes on the prize. The warrior lunges with a strike so fast, Chunsok barely avoids it. His speed is annoying, but the strategy for elites is simple. End it before they find a weakness. One fatal blow. The swordsman reads the intent and pours everything into a desperate parry. Impressive. He blocked a full power strike, but what's even more shocking than the defense is that his movements were a complete blur. True speed should be invisible to the naked eye. Exactly as promised. Chunsok can't even track the blade as it closes in. He takes a non-fatal wound just to survive. The realization hits, this guy was holding back his speed. The swordsman praises his evasion skills, but if he can dodge that, it's time to level up. A flurry of strikes erupts. Chunsok's defense crumbles under the sheer weight of the onslaught. He hits the deck. Left with no choice, he ignites the paradox flame. This wasn't the plan. Using his trump card, this early sucks. Plus, against a non-living foe, the paradox flame is basically useless. He's cornered. The swordsman is genuinely intrigued by how many tricks this kid has left. He wonders what it'll take to finally put him down. The blade flashes once more. The strike shreds Chunsok's back, tearing through muscle. He collapses into the dirt. Victory seems certain, but as the swordsman sheathes his blade, Chunsok flickers right behind him. He teetered on the edge of a blackout, yet inexplicably the enemy missed his chance to shred the muscles across his shoulders. He must ignite the paradox flame to kickstart his regeneration and mend those mangled tissues. Since he managed to sneak behind him unnoticed, a glimmer of hope remains. He lunges at the swordsman, but the warrior blurs behind him, mocking his sluggish speed. A lethal strike sends Chansok crashing down in blood, yet the blade barely grazed his throat once more. A deliberate miss by mere inches. Irritated, Chansok hurls him back. The swordsman reels, stunned that his calculated strike didn't land. Luck is on his side. Chansok calls his bluff, knowing that fatal blow was withheld. He's been hesitating on purpose this entire time. He's keeping him alive. What is this game? Is he just playing with his food out of some twisted pity? The swordsman nods. In his prime, he would have ended it. But in this current state, he can't even remember a name. His past is a fractured blur of lost memories. Those holes in his soul crippled his martial arts. Bested by a nameless stranger, he was shackled with this humiliating restraint. Chansok realizes the shell remains, but the master within has been hollowed out. It's the total inverse of his own plight. That shackle must be the control device they mentioned. The warrior admits he's lost everything, his identity and the very purpose he first drew his blade. Only a bitter resentment born of grief remains. Chansok watches him shed his cloak, beginning a grim transformation. Am I not a pathetic sight? Chansok senses it now, the crushing weight of that hatred. The malice thickens, yet his mastery is gone. If he fails to end this in a single blow, victory is possible. Chansok must unleash every ounce of his hidden potential. They lock eyes in a tense standoff. Midnight flames shroud Chansok, sealing his wounds and surging his energy. This man wields a truly bizarre power. Those flames consume more than just flesh. Chansok grins at the warrior's sharp intuition. This fire incinerates concepts. To the ignorant, it looks like infinite destruction, but the reality is far more complex. Burning individual exhaustion is vastly different from erasing the friction of an entire staircase. Massive concepts demand insane mana and mastery as bigger scales become nearly impossible to restrain. One slip-up and the backlash will swallow him whole. Like when he crushed Kim Ji-hyun. He risked incinerating his own physical strength. If he were, his former self-control wouldn't even be an issue. Back then, he was a majestic greatsword. Now he's barely a dull kitchen knife. He's played it safe until now. But it looks like he can't afford to be cautious anymore. It's time to gamble. He's going to erase the very durability of this entire battlefield. Erase durability. The warrior is baffled. Chansok merely waves him off with a smirk. Enough talking. Action speaks louder than words. He lunges at the swordsman with blistering speed. The warrior recoils. Chansok tells him to figure it out while he's catching these strikes. Knowing his opponent's ceiling changes everything. He's dying to see just how far his current self can push. The swordsman suggests a new arena, and in an instant, they burst through the roof, spiraling into the sky in a cyclone of obsidian and azure energy. Each collision erupts like a supernova. The swordsman's blade bites into Chansok's spear with crushing force, severing the shaft before unleashing a devastating world-rending slash. Peaks crumble behind him, sliced like paper. Chansok maneuvers through the falling debris, closing the distance. He blitzes the warrior, unleashing a relentless barrage of strikes. The swordsman collapses, eyes wide in disbelief. In all his years of war, he's never witnessed such power. What is this monster? Chansok isn't finished yet. Descending from the heavens, he rains down strikes until the swordsman's very essence begins to fray. He morphs into a vengeful phantom. With a primal roar, they collide blades, weaving a dance of death. They trade blows in a brutal stalemate. Neither will yield until the other is buried. Divine energy shatters the broken landscape. Chansok recalls a question from his past. What if he met an unbeatable foe? A hypothetical scenario. How would he handle a wall he simply couldn't climb? A duel against his literal equal. A boring question perhaps, but one he needed to answer. Chansok pondered it, facing a mirror image of his own godlike power. Could he even win? The outcome was crystal clear. Between him and that monster, only one would leave this arena alive. Victory belonged to him this time. The swordsman acknowledges his downfall, meeting his end with a warrior's dignity. It was a legendary final clash. One fact remains undisputed for Chansok. He truly stands at the absolute peak. Well, second only to Satoru Gojo. As the warrior vanishes into dust, a shining reward remains behind. Chansok smiles, seeing the loot matches his past life. He cracks the chest to find a lethal-looking spear. It looks suspiciously short for a polearm, but once mana surges through it, the blade viciously lunges forward. It extends to impossible lengths before snapping back. This gadget will definitely be a game-changer for him. He remembers that Rift rewards scale with party size. Only one drop. He should have brought Sang-ah. He could have just hidden her nearby as a loot booster to double his earnings without her lifting a finger. Curiously, the enemy's blade remains perfectly intact. Meanwhile, Sang-ah has decided to take a nap on the dirt. She was catching Z's by the portal when a sword suddenly whistles through the air, nearly pinning her skull. She's stunned by the mysterious blade she's never seen before. Chansok nonchalantly explains, he just picked it up. Given the previous owner's skill, this steel is top tier. He offers it to her, and she's instantly impressed. The craftsmanship is flawless, making her wonder where such a treasure came from. Was it from that rift? She asks if he's hurt, but he shuts it down. She's had enough beauty sleep while he was working. Now it's his turn to crash. Without warning, he collapses right in front of her, completely drained of energy. The gap between rank 3 and 2 is a literal ocean. News of Chansok's solo clear sends shockwaves everywhere. Cracking a grade 2 solo is a feat on a whole different level. His name is on everyone's lips now. His face plasters every billboard, while his phone explodes with pings. Stepping outside has become an absolute nightmare. With his cover blown, he takes a secret meeting. Enter Ja Sujong, a high-ranking official from Embargo Tower. He thanks her for the medical coverage while inviting her in. But one thing bugs him: what is Embargo Tower? Sujong clarifies that they fly under the radar. Most civilians have never even heard of their secret organization. Their work is strictly confidential. She tells him to relax and reach out if he needs anything during recovery. Chansok isn't buying the hospitality. This VIP treatment and luxury room definitely aren't cheap. There's a catch. He knows they want something in return. He tells her to stop playing games and get to the point. She offers him some cake before diving in. Their goal, deploying a massive shield generator to stop the corrosion. He snacks while reviewing the briefing. They need him to escort a mana-powered barrier device across dangerous territory. This prototype is straight from the United States. They believe only someone with his skills can handle it. Successful mass production could save regions where hunters can't survive. It's a literal lifeline for all of humanity. This operation is massive, potentially rewriting our species' future. Chansok realizes this isn't just some small-time favor. Sujong nods. They're currently scouting more top-tier talent to ensure this high-stakes mission doesn't fail. When she mentions Janabi joined the team, Chansok is floored. This operation is way bigger than he imagined. The plan is to move the generator by rail once they depart from Vladivostok. It's a long haul. From the Netherlands, a chopper will rush it to Dover. The United Kingdom is the final testing ground. He asks, why Britain? Sujong reveals a grim truth. The great entity Ristorante has completely taken over Italy. Its dark shadow looms over Europe and Africa. The UK is only safe because it's slightly outside that influence. Modern Europe has descended into total anarchy. Civilized society has basically ceased to exist there. Governments have collapsed, leaving ruthless hunter corporations to rule as warlords. They control everything with iron fists. They're only moving supplies due to international pressure. Chansok knows that Train will have a massive target on it. She asks if he's a frequent traveler. He admits this will be his very first trip to Europe. Sujong warns him that they'll witness pure horror out there. He stops her questioning who she means by they. She explains that Embargo Tower is handling all the intel and data gathering for this high-stakes operation. She's being deployed as part of the primary squad. Having a familiar face on this suicide mission is a plus. Chansok's stunned. She's acting like his participation is already set in stone. He locks eyes with her. Fine, but I have one condition. He wants Song-ah on the team. He owes her that much, and her loyalty is ironclad. Sujong quips that since he trusts her, they're the ones doing the inviting. Chansok nods in silent gratitude. This partnership is the perfect catalyst. His reach is about to go global, far beyond his wildest projections. Suddenly, a chopper touches down on the hospital roof. A private flight just for him. Talk about VIP treatment. Clearing a Grade 2 rift really hits different. Grade 3 scraps are officially a thing of the past. The chairman's eyes gleam with certainty. From now on, the association is backing his every move. Proving his worth pays off. Doors are opening now that used to be bolted shut, yet a shadow of doubt remains. Does the chairman know about those guys? Is he fighting to fix this broken world, or does he want the chaos to last forever? On board, he finds Soo-woon waiting. Apparently, his name is on everyone's lips these days. Chansok isn't surprised. At this rate, he's basically a household name in the hunter world. Their destination A, high-security military base. Soo-woon breaks down the high-stakes politics involved. The South Korean military is eyeing the Embargo Tower. Everyone wants a piece of that tech. A shield generator is the ultimate prize. If they land it, the global power balance shifts. National defense hangs in the balance, and the political fallout will be absolutely massive. He asks about the heirs of Dangun. Soo-woon's expression darkens at the mention of those fanatics. She's shocked he's even heard of them. Chansok recalls his bloody encounter back on Tsushima Island. They're a hardcore nationalist group, all Koreans, all dangerous, and all completely unhinged. They specialize in ambushing hunters while they're busy clearing out corruption rifts. Total interference is their game. Chansok gets the motive, but their methods are pure chaos. Soo-woon tosses him a candy, a sudden flash of pity in her eyes. Ever been abroad, newbie? Everyone asks that. He admits this is his first time leaving the nest for something this big. She smirks. This mission is going to be one hell of a wake-up call for him. Base arrival. Chief Supervisor Hyun-so takes the stage and the vibe turns dead serious. Eyes on the files, he barks. This is the blueprint for their survival over the next 14 days. The operation involves an 80-car iron behemoth, a massive train convoy through the heart of hell, 65 cars for cargo, the rest for the soldiers and hunters. A literal rolling fortress. They're prioritizing the troops' stamina for the battles ahead. Chansok notices the perks of high-rank life. Soo-woon gets an entire car to herself. The S-tier life is just built different. But the real prize is the shield generator car. Monkey LLC is holding the keys to that vault. The military suggests sharing the load, fearing fatigue. But Soo-woon isn't having any of it. She shuts them down instantly. No negotiations. No compromise on security. This tech is a magnet for every faction on the planet. Security must be absolute and internal. If you aren't Monkey LLC, stay back. The line in the sand is drawn. The chief doesn't argue. Instead, he highlights the nightmare waiting for them in the Siberian wild. 7 alpha-grade sources are lurking along the tracks just waiting for the train to slow down, not to mention the Siberian syndicates. Wasteland pirates who live for this kind of carnage. Sawun chuckles. A train heist. It sounds like something out of a classic Western movie. To make matters worse, only 3 European lords responded to their peace offering. The silence from the other 5 is deafening. In this world, silence means war. The room goes cold. Every hunter knows exactly what that silence implies. 2 weeks of hell, countless enemies. The journey into the abyss begins now. Only 3 lords gave a green light. 5 remain wildcards, likely sharpening their blades. Chansok reads between the lines. It's an open invitation for an ambush. Between the monsters and the lords, they're walking straight into a meat grinder. Vicious bandits and territorial warlords. Is that even a real threat? Honestly, they're better off assuming it's impossible. C1 reassures the crew, vowing that she'll personally escort this train to its final stop no matter what. Regardless of the risks, Operation Day arrives at Vladivostok. Everyone assembles, filing into their designated cars with grim determination. As they board, Chansok is visibly annoyed, grumbling about the long, exhausting trek to the luxury first-class sections. Midway there, he spots Sangha already waiting. She mentions that once this perilous mission finally wraps up, she'll hand over that promised medical potion. Chansok's curious, though. Where has she been ghosting everyone lately? She scoffs, asking how a high roller in first class could ever notice a bottom-tier person like herself. Sayun was a no-show, too. It's just a VIP triangle of favoritism, isn't it? But then, out of nowhere, Sujong arrives. Catching a glimpse of Sangha, Sujong is instantly struck by her absolutely terrifying, overwhelming aura. Chansok's early, too, but has he scouted the perimeter? He just shrugs, admitting he literally just stepped on board. Embargo Tower isn't playing around. This isn't just a train, they're guarding a literal heavy-duty rolling fortress on tracks. With armor this thick, won't they just become a giant target, inviting even more lethal threats to attack? Sujong disagrees. It draws eyes, sure, but the depleted uranium plating makes these cars virtually indestructible fortresses. It's basically a tank. Plus, with C1 on board, Chansok figures failure is practically off the table. Spoke too soon, monsters swarm them instantly. A frantic hunter screams for immediate backup over at car 57. Chansok charges in cursing. They've barely been moving for 10 minutes and the chaos is already starting. Corrosion entities are already swarming the hull. There's an endless tide of these nightmares clawing at the metal. C1's help would be clutch, but whatever. Currently, the Siberian railway ahead is completely trashed and broken. To keep moving, they're repairing tracks on the fly. But the engineers doing the heavy lifting, they're totally defenseless. They can't survive the corrosion entities alone. A high-tier hunter has to stay glued to them for constant protection. Ironically, their heavy hitter C1 got stuck with babysitting duty. She's literally the strongest person on this mission. Yet she's benched forbidden from joining the actual fight. If he were the commander of this operation, he'd take out the idiot who drafted this plan. He vents by slicing through dozens more monsters. He immediately regrets his words. Man, this journey is going to be one long, exhausting nightmare. Elsewhere, a massive Russian man hauls a monstrous carcass he's seemingly just slaughtered with his bare hands. He spots someone asking what the deal is. It's that jerk Layla. Suddenly, the dead beast snaps back to life. It lunges to tear his throat out, but he doesn't flinch. He just levels his hand cannon and obliterates it. Piece of cake. Haeyun remarks that Nikolai always makes a dramatic entrance. This, by the way, is Lee Haeyun. It's been a minute since their last meeting. He's here because he's got a tempting proposition for the big man. He arrived just in time for the fireworks. Meet the territory lord of Vladivostok himself, Nikolai Baranov, who was apparently just out fishing. Nikolai curses him, claiming he caught that beast fair and square. He only knocked it out for dinner, but Haeyun ruined it. Haeyun just tells him to wipe the blood off. He wonders, do Russians actually eat these things? Nikolai scoffs, saying Koreans are just spoiled by too many food options. Arrogance follows luxury. So, what's the gig? Nikolai makes it clear. He's definitely not hurting for money right now. But Haeyun knows he'll love this. A specific train just left Vladivostok, and it's heading straight through this territory. It'll arrive in a day or two. Nikolai tells him to cut the crap. Doesn't he know the truth? That railway was trashed years ago. Haeyun explains that certain mana-awakened individuals can actually fix things on the fly. With the right materials, they can rebuild anything. Nikolai is stunned. Mobile repairs. That's a total game changer. Never crossed his mind. But what's the cargo? Haeyun stays tight-lipped, refusing to spill the secret. What matters is the guard, the candy lady from Monkey LLC. Nikolai's eyes widen at the name. Did he know she was coming? Is he actually prepared for her? Haeyun nods and Nikolai's grin turns wicked. Raiding a train guarded by Sayun herself. Now that sounds like a party. Haeyun doesn't call it a robbery. Monkey LLC is only contracted to guard one specific car. Nikolai leans in. So what's the target? Just blow it to smithereens, right? Haeyun sighs. It's not that simple, you absolute barbarian. He needs to board the train and link this terminal device to the machine hidden deep inside. Nikolai smirks, giving the green light to total destruction. This isn't just about the steel, it's a masterpiece of chaos. Nikolai is ready to butcher every single hunter on that train, forcing Sewon to watch the massacre firsthand. While Nikolai hungers for payback, Chansok transforms into a whirlwind of death, effortlessly skewering every beast in his way. The veterans are absolutely shook. This rookie just hit the scene and he's already solo cleared over 100 monsters. He's more of a freak than the monsters he hunts. Chansok finally lowers his spear, satisfied with the carnage. The party's barely started and these guys are already folding. How can they be this pathetic? He might as well be soloing this mission. But Sang-ah isn't having it, demanding the squad get back up. The mission is still live, and one slip-up means death. Chansok just laughs, telling her to stop acting so heroic. Honestly, she's the only one here who isn't dead weight. Suddenly, a massive rumble echoes. Is it an avalanche? A ping from control hits their comms obstacle detected on the tracks. But the train isn't slowing down. Sewon screams for an emergency stop. They're about to be ambushed and her instincts are dead on. A lethal energy blast streaks toward them. In a blur of motion, she dashes forward and parries the strike effortlessly. She deflects the beam like a mere spark. That was the signal for the bandits to swarm. Sang-ah is stunned. How did they even find us? Chansok tells her to chill. Did she even bother reading the mission briefing? Only one crew in Kabayevsk has this kind of firepower. It's Nikolai's private army, no doubt about it. Sewon realizes they were lying in wait. Suddenly, a swarm of enchanted talismans is hurled straight at her. The charms link up, erupting into a dark, rippling explosion from the heavens. Sang-ah screams out for Sewon. Disaster strikes. Sewon has been completely sealed away, removed from the board entirely. The chief overrides the comms, demanding every hunter's attention. They are officially under a full-scale assault. With Sewon neutralized, they're sitting ducks. Scanners show at least 500 enemies closing in fast. They're outnumbered 10-1. With their ace out, they'll have to hold the line or die trying. Chansok orders Sang-ah to move out. The other hunters watch in disbelief, thinking he's gone insane. 50 against 500, it's suicide. But they can't let the rookies take all the glory, can they? Time to end this. Sewon grips her blade with white knuckles, desperate to rejoin the front lines. She tries to break free, but Haeun smirks. This isn't going to be the easy escape she's hoping for. Is this your trap? She growls. He confirms it, claiming to be a direct descendant of the great Dan Gun. He tracks her lineage to the Prince Yongyong branch. Technically, that makes him her distant nephew. Seeing family in a wasteland is quite the reunion. Ignoring him, Sewon slams her blade into his barrier. Her steel shatters on impact. Haeun just scoffs. This seal isn't something a simple blade can break. He tells her to just surrender. As if a broken sword is enough to make a warrior like her quit. Sewon wonders why he's so confident over one broken blade. She casually begins spinning one of her rings. Haeun's eyes widen in disbelief. He recognizes the artifact immediately, much to Sewon's surprise. This is the Mirror Ring, a top-tier artifact Sewon looted from a Grade 1 corrosion core. It registers one weapon, and the second it breaks, a perfect replica instantly teleports back into her grip. Haeun is disgusted by her sheer brutality. She actually planned to break her own weapon just to push forward. Sewon snaps that with that attitude he'll be single for all eternity in the afterlife. The horde closes in. Nikolai mocks their pathetic numbers. Out here, he's the one who decides who lives and who rots. Drop your weapons, and I might show mercy, he sneers. Chansok stares him down, wondering if this is the infamous Nikolai. It's weird he's airborne, but there's zero mana coming from him. Sang-ah explains it's a prototype suit from years ago. Born from the Predator Project, it was designed to give ordinary humans the power to fight without mana. North Korea developed the prototypes, but the project went bust because the required materials were too rare. How did a Russian mob boss score North Korean tech? Sang-ah doesn't care. She's ready for blood. She's a pro at slaying monsters, but killing humans. Chansok asks if she's ever crossed that line before. If you don't have the stomach for it, stay back, he warns. Sang-ah notes that he's a rookie too. They're trying to end us anyway, so they're no different from the monsters. Targets are targets. Mid-sentence, a thug lunges, swinging a brutal axe straight for her skull. Suddenly, Chansok's steel flashes, decapitating him instantly. He dares her to act if she's ready. Don't let the guilt devour you. This agony will vanish within 1 month. The trauma fades faster.